The body is not merely flesh and bone, it is a living scripture, written by consciousness itself. Every nerve is a sentence, every breath is a punctuation of awareness. Long before the mind learns to argue, the body already knows. It remembers truths the intellect has forgotten. It carries imprints of thought, emotion, intention, and fear, quietly, patiently, waiting for awareness to read what has been inscribed within. Look at the body without judgment, not as an object to decorate or discipline, but as a sacred map, a map that reveals where your consciousness has been dwelling for years. The tension in your shoulders speaks of burdens you accepted without love. The heaviness in the chest whispers of emotions never fully expressed. The restlessness in the legs tells the story of a soul that wants to move, to grow, to escape stagnation. The body never lies. It cannot pretend, it cannot flatter. It faithfully mirrors the state of your inner world. When consciousness is scattered, the body becomes restless. When awareness is shallow, breath becomes shallow. When fear dominates thought, muscles contract as if preparing for an invisible attack. And when love expands within, the body softens, opens, and becomes light. As though gravity itself has loosened its grip. You have tried to change life by forcing the mind, yet the body has been sending quieter instructions all along. It is the first altar where consciousness descends into form. Each posture you carry is an attitude toward life. Each movement reveals how deeply you trust existence. A hunched body often carries a bowed spirit. A rigid spine reflects resistance. A relaxed, upright posture reveals inner permission to live fully. This is not accident. This is alignment or misalignment made visible. The feet reveal direction. They show where your faith is placed. A person who walks hesitantly is not unsure of the road. They are unsure of themselves. A grounded step reflects inner stability. A dragging step shows emotional exhaustion long before words admit it. The hands reveal intention. They tremble when courage is missing. They steady when purpose is clear. They open naturally when the heart has learned generosity. They clench unconsciously when control replaces trust. The breath is the most honest messenger of consciousness. Watch it closely. When you rush, the breath fragments. When you worry, it forgets its rhythm. When awareness deepens, breath becomes slow, wide, and nourishing, as if life itself is breathing you. No teacher can lie here. No philosophy can hide here. Breath exposes the truth instantly. The body is the diary of your consciousness. Every unprocessed emotion becomes stored energy. Every suppressed truth becomes a tightness. Every unexpressed longing becomes fatigue. And every moment of presence becomes vitality. This is why healing begins not with changing circumstances, but with listening inwardly. When awareness enters the body full, transformation begins without struggle. Muscles release not because you force them, but because they feel safe enough to let go. Consciousness, when absent, turns the body into a burden. Consciousness, when present, turns the body into a temple. You do not live in the body. The body lives in your awareness. When awareness is narrow, the body feels heavy. When awareness expands, the body becomes light, almost transparent. Pain lessens not because it disappears, but because consciousness has grown larger than it. Even illness is communication, not punishment, not failure, but instruction. The body speaks in sensations when the soul has been ignored too long. It whispers before it shouts. It tightens before it breaks. It signals imbalance long before collapse. When you learn to read the body, you no longer fight it. You cooperate. You notice when energy rises and when it withdraws. You respect rhythms instead of abusing willpower. You rest without guilt. You act without fear. The body becomes a compass. It points you toward truth when the mind is confused. It anchors you when thoughts drift endlessly. It grounds you when ambition pulls you away from yourself. Awareness, when brought gently into the body, reunites the divided self. Thought, emotion, and action begin to move as one. This unity generates a quiet power, not the power of domination, but the power of alignment. And in alignment life flows. The body is not an obstacle on the spiritual path. It is the doorway. Consciousness did not descend into form by mistake. It chose the body as its instrument, its classroom, its mirror. To ignore the body is to ignore half of existence. When you walk consciously, awareness touches the ground before your feet do. When you sit in stillness, consciousness occupies every cell. When you speak truthfully, the throat relaxes as if relieved. When you forgive, the chest expands as though space has returned. This is the language of consciousness made visible. Read your body. Listen without fear. Observe without resistance. For everything you seek to know about your inner world, has already been written, patiently, faithfully, within you. Energy is not blind. It does not move randomly. It follows awareness the way a shadow follows the body. Where your attention goes, life begins to flow. You may believe that effort creates results, but effort without awareness drains energy, while awareness without force multiplies it. Observe your own experience. The moments when you are fully present, even simple actions feel alive. When awareness disappears, even powerful efforts feel heavy and exhausting. This is not coincidence, this is law. Energy flows where awareness walks. When awareness walks into fear, energy feeds fear. When awareness walks into desire, energy inflames desire. When awareness walks into clarity, energy organizes itself into strength. Most people do not lack energy, they scatter it. Their awareness is pulled in 100 directions, regrets of thought, past, anxieties of the future, comparisons, expectations, and energy obediently follows, fragmenting the self. Notice how the body responds to attention. The moment you bring awareness to your breath, it deepens. The moment you bring awareness to a tense muscle, it softens. The moment you bring awareness to pain without resistance, the pain changes its quality. Awareness does not fight energy, it guides it. Like a lamp in a dark room, awareness does not move objects. Yet everything becomes visible and reorganized. You have tried to fix life by pushing harder, running faster, forcing outcomes. Yet the secret has always been subtler. Energy responds not to force but to direction. And direction is given by awareness. Where awareness walks consistently, pathways form. If your awareness lives in lack, energy arranges itself into survival. If your awareness rests in possibility, energy rises to meet it. If your awareness dwells in service, strength appears at the exact moment it is need. Ed. Life cooperates with consciousness, not with desperation. This is why distracted minds feel tired even when doing nothing. Energy is leaking into useless channels. And this is why silent, aware beings radiate vitality even in stillness. Energy has been gathered home. The feet of awareness determine the destination of energy. When awareness walks unconsciously, energy wanders. When awareness walks deliberately, energy becomes purposeful. Every thought is a step. Every emotion is a direction. Every repeated focus carves a road inside you. Energy follows these inner roads faithfully, whether they lead to freedom or fatigue. When you repeatedly place awareness on what is missing, energy constructs scarcity. When awareness rests on gratitude, energy organizes abundance, not necessarily in material form but in support, clarity, and inner stability that later manifests outwardly. Nothing is wasted. Energy simply obeys. Notice how awareness affects relationships. When you give someone attention, energy flows between you effortlessly. When attention is divided, connection weakens even if words continue. Love is not strengthened by promises, it is strengthened by presence. Awareness is the silent leader of energy. It does not shout commands. It walks, and energy follows naturally. This is why inner discipline is more powerful than outer control. You do not need to control energy, you need to guide awareness. When awareness enters the body fully, vitality increases. When awareness enters action fully, effectiveness multiplies. When awareness enters silence, wisdom surfaces. Energy resists nothing. It follows everything. Look at your daily life. Where does your awareness walk most often? Into worry? Into comparison? Into distraction? Energy has been following there for years, building patterns that now feel like fate, but fate is only habitual awareness solidified over time. The moment awareness changes direction, energy reorganizes instantly. Even if circumstances take time to shift, inner power returns immediately. You feel it as calm, as steadiness, as a quiet confidence that does not need proof. This is why a single moment of deep awareness can feel more nourishing than hours of restless activity. Energy has been gathered back from exile. Awareness is the gatekeeper of power. It decides what grows and what withers. What you feed with attention strengthens. What you starve of awareness loses momentum. This is not suppression. This is intelligent guidance. When awareness walks toward truth, energy becomes honest. When awareness walks toward discipline, energy becomes sharp. When awareness walks toward compassion, energy softens without weakening. Nothing mystical is required. Only sincerity. You do not need more energy. You need clearer awareness. Energy is already abundant. It is simply waiting for direction. The moment awareness becomes steady, energy becomes loyal. And when awareness learns to walk consciously, energy no longer leaks into fey. AR and confusion. Humble actions carry a power that the loud world cannot measure. They do not announce themselves. They do not demand recognition. They move quietly, like roots beneath the soil, building strength long before anything is visible above the ground. What grows silently often lasts the longest. The world teaches you to chase applause, to prove worth through noise, speed, and comparison. Yet life itself follows a different law. It rewards alignment, sincerity, and quiet consistency. Humble actions may appear small, but they carry a depth that ego-driven effort can never reach. A single sincere act done without expectation reshapes the inner world. It cleans the channels through which life flows. When you act humbly, the ego loosens its grip, and something higher begins to operate through you. In that surrender, invisible riches accumulate. These riches cannot be stolen. They cannot be taxed. They cannot collapse overnight. They appear as inner stability, quiet confidence, and a sense of being supported by life even in uncertainty. Humble actions dissolve resistance. When you act without the hunger to be seen, energy moves freely. There is no friction of self-image, no tension of performance, no fear of judgment. Action becomes effortless, and effortlessness is magnetic. This is why people who serve quietly often find doors opening for them unexpectedly, not because they demanded opportunity, but because life trusts those who are not trying to dominate it. When you sweep the floor with awareness, you cleanse more than dust. When you listen without interrupting, you heal more than words. When you show up on time, even when no one notices, you align with integrity itself. Humble actions train the soul. They teach patience in a world addicted to instant results. They teach faith in a time obsessed with proof. They teach self-worth that does not depend on validation. Ego asks, "What will I get?" Humility asks, "What is needed now?" And life responds differently to these two questions. When action arises from humility, it carries no inner conflict. There is no negotiation with pride, no hidden agenda. Energy flows cleanly. Over time, this clean energy compounds, forming invisible wealth. This wealth expresses itself as clarity when others panic, as strength when others collapse, as guidance when others feel lost. Many people mistake humility for weakness. In truth, it is one of the highest forms of strength. Only a strong inner center can act without demanding credit. Only a secure being can give without fear of loss. Humble actions free you from the exhausting task of maintaining an image. You no longer need to appear successful, you simply become effective, and effectiveness draws support naturally. The universe recognizes sincerity. It responds not to dramatic gestures, but to consistent alignment. Each humble act is like placing a coin in an unseen treasury. You may not see the balance growing, but one day you realize you are support in ways you never planned. Humble actions also refine awareness. When you are not performing, you are present. When you are present, intelligence awakens. You notice details others overlook. You sense timing. You feel when to act and when to wait. This sensitivity is a form of wealth. It allows you to move with life rather than against it. Those who rush for recognition often burn their energy quickly. Those who act humbly conserve and refine it. Over time, their presence itself becomes influential. They do not need to push. People listen because something feels trustworthy. Invisible riches accumulate silently. They show up as resilience during failure, as grace under pressure, as an unshakable sense of direction when external signs disappear. These are not accidents. They are the result of countless small actions done with sincerity. A kind word spoken without strategy. A responsibility accepted without complaint. An honest effort given, even when reward is uncertain. Each one deep. Ends the inner foundation. Humble actions align you with a larger intelligence. When ego steps aside, guidance steps in. You may not hear it as words, but you feel it as ease. Decisions simplify. Confusion lessens. Effort produces more with less strain. This is the paradox of humility. When you stop trying to elevate yourself, life elevates you naturally. The invisible becomes supportive. Circumstances soften. Help appears at the right moment. And even when challenges arise, you meet them with a steadiness that cannot be shaken. Humble actions do not promise immediate applause. They promise something far greater, inner wealth that makes outer success sustainable. The world remembers those who shine loudly for a moment. Life supports those who grow quietly for a lifetime. A grounded soul does not chase abundance. It becomes a place where abundance feels safe to arrive. Groundedness is not slowness, and it is not passivity. It is inner stability. It is the ability to remain rooted while life moves, changes, and challenges from every direction. When a soul is grounded, it does not scatter its energy reacting to every disturbance. It stays present, centered, and responsive, and life recognizes this steadiness. Abundance is drawn to stability the way water is drawn to a deep well. A grounded soul listens before acting, it breathes before reacting, it allows silence to inform decision. This calm presence creates an invisible field of trust. People sense it, opportunities sense it. Even uncertainty responds differently in its presence. Most people try to attract abundance by force, through ambition, pressure, and constant striving. But force creates resistance. A grounded soul operates from alignment, not urgency. It moves when movement is right. It rests without guilt. It works with full attention, not restless intensity. This balance creates reliability, and reliability attracts support. Life invests in those who are stable enough to receive. When a soul is ungrounded, abundance feels overwhelming. Success creates anxiety. Resources create fear of loss. Growth feels threatening. So life withholds, not as punishment but as protection. A grounded soul can hold more without collapsing. It can receive without becoming arrogant. It can lose without becoming bitter. This emotional maturity makes it a trustworthy vessel for abundance. Groundedness begins in the body, a steady breath, a relaxed posture, a sense of weight resting comfortably in the lower body. When the body is settled, the mind settles. When the mind settles, intention becomes clear. Clear intention magnetizes abundance naturally. A grounded soul is not constantly comparing. Comparison uproots awareness. It pulls attention away from the present moment into imagined hierarchies. Grounded awareness stays where life is actually happening, here, now, in this breath, in this action. From this presence arises effectiveness. Actions taken from groundedness are precise. Words spoken from groundedness carry weight. Decisions made from groundedness endure. This precision multiplies results without multiplying effort. Abundance is not only material, it shows up as supportive relationships, timely help, creative flow, and inner assurance. These forms of abundance often arrive before money does. They prepare the foundation. A grounded soul notices and appreciates these early gifts. Gratitude deepens groundedness, and groundedness invites more. This is a self-reinforcing cycle. Those who are grounded do not rush life. They respect timing. They understand that forcing growth weakens roots. They allow processes to mature. This patience signals wisdom, and wisdom attracts abundance because abundance requires management. Life does not offer excess to those who misuse energy. It offers it to those who respect it. A grounded soul also knows when to say no. This boundary protects energy. It prevents leakage. It preserves focus. Abundance flows toward clarity, not confusion. When awareness is scattered, resources scatter. When awareness is centered, resources consolidate. Grounded souls are not easily shaken by praise or blame. They remain internally consistent. This consistency creates trust. Trust creates opportunity. Opportunity creates expansion. This chain does not begin with wealth. It begins with stability. When challenges arise, a grounded soul does not collapse into fear. It meets difficulty with curiosity and steadiness. This response transforms obstacles into training rather than trauma. Each challenge survived with awareness deepens the roots further. Abundance feels drawn to grounded souls because it can rest there. It does not need to be defended. It does not need to be proven. It is simply held with respect. In such presence, life flows more freely. Service does not begin in grand intentions or distant ideals. It begins exactly where you stand. Where the feet touch the earth, life is asking for your presence. Not tomorrow, not somewhere else. Here, now, this. Ground beneath you is not accidental. Every place you find yourself is a silent invitation to serve in some way. Through awareness, through responsibility, through care. Many wait for a higher calling, imagining service as something dramatic or heroic. But life moves differently. It offers small moments, ordinary tasks, unnoticed needs. And in these humble spaces, true service is born. The feet connect you to reality. They carry you into situations that the mind may resist but the soul requires. When your feet step into responsibility, service begins. When they walk away from avoidance, service deepens. When they remain present instead of escaping discomfort, service becomes transformative. Service is not about saving the world, it is about meeting the moment fully. A person who is present while walking to work is serving life. A person who listens fully while standing in front of another is serving life. A person who completes a simple task with care is serving life. The earth feels intention through your steps. Walk in anger, and resistance grows. Walk in humility, and paths open. Walk in awareness, and even routine becomes sacred. Service is not defined by scale, it is defined by sincerity. When you wash your hands consciously, you are serving the body. When you speak honestly, you are serving truth. When you keep your word, you are serving trust. These acts do not look impressive, but they reshape the inner world. The feet are instruments of service because they move you out of self-absorption. They bring you into contact with others, with situations, with needs beyond personal preference. Wherever the feet go, the ego is challenged. And where ego softens, service flows. Service humbles the mind without humiliating it. It teaches the soul its proper size, neither inflated nor diminished. In service, you remember that you are part of a larger movement of life. When service begins at the feet, pride dissolves naturally. You are no longer above or below, you are simply involved. You do what is needed because it is needed, not because it enhances identity. This simplicity is powerful. Life trusts those who serve without calculating benefit. Every step taken with awareness is a contribution. Walking toward responsibility instead of comfort is service. Standing your ground when truth is required is service. Leaving a harmful path is service. Even stillness can be service when it prevents harm. The earth supports those who support life. When your feet touch the ground with respect, the ground responds with stability. This is not poetry, it is alignment. Those who serve are sustained. Those who run only for themselves eventually exhaust their support. Service aligns you with a larger current of energy. In that current, effort feels lighter. Assistance appears without demand. Strength arises when personal strength ends. The feet learn humility by touching dust. This contact reminds you that greatness does not float above life. It walks through it. It bends. It adapts. It carries weight. Service matures you. It removes unnecessary ambition and replaces it with purpose. It sharpens awareness. It simplifies desire. It grounds spirituality into action. Service does not require permission. It begins the moment you stop asking, "What will I get?" and start asking, "What is needed here?" In that shift, life opens. The feet become guides. They lead you into situations that teach patience, compassion, and responsibility. Each step becomes an offering. Each action becomes prayer. When service becomes natural, life becomes supportive. You are no longer pushing against existence. You are cooperating with it. And cooperation generates strength that ego alone can never produce.